I feel like the media is teaching us how to be hateful to each other. I feel like the type of language that is being used in the news is translating into our everyday lives, and I think it's unhealthy. I think that politicians are adding to this by continuing this rhetoric of hate and anger. So many of them are just saying absolutely awful things about each other. And I think a really easy example is obviously how Kamala was just completely torn apart. And whether you like her or dislike her, I think we can all agree that the language that was used to talk about her was horrible. I don't think any politician should be talked about that way. I don't think that any I think that women in general are more susceptible to that, but I think that there are certain women who have been more targeted than others, and I tend to think that it might be more on a Democratic side. However, Marjorie Taylor Greene has said some very hateful stuff herself. And also, a lot of hateful stuff has been said about her. And no matter how much I agree or disagree with someone, I do not think that they should be torn down. I think that all women in politics should be allowed to say what they want to say and exist the way they want to exist as a political figure without being called bad words. Unfortunately, this is a clean podcast, so I cannot say any of these words, but some of them start with B, some of them start with W, some of them start with S, and these are all words that we really shouldn't say about women in general because it's mean. But also I think it's stuff we should not be saying in politics because I think that politics should be about policies and what we actually believe in and not necessarily what names we can call our opponent. I mean, I think that Trump at least is very creative in what he says. He has a very flamboyant way of addressing his opponents. He obviously has nicknames for all of them, which I actually find rather amusing. I don't think that it's necessarily the best way to run a political campaign, but I think that a lot of them are incredibly effective. I think that one of the things Trump does very well is using short phrases that are catchy, that make people want to remember them. My personal favorite is Meatball Ron. I think it's pretty funny. However, I do not think that in general we should assassinate other people's characters based on a nickname. You know, like I don't think that we should create nicknames for every political figure and then disparage them using that nickname. I would much rather tear down people's policies. I would rather read through what they believe in and then decide who they are and what they believe in is good or bad based on what they've actually said. I also think that when the media says that Republicans are all horrible people who are all wanting to tear apart Democrats and make it so that no Democrat is allowed to speak, or that they want to terrorize people into not voting the way they want to vote, that distances an entire section of the population in the same way that I want to drink liberal tears would distance another side of the population. Basket of deplorables was a wonderful one. I think that what Biden said about Republicans was also really bad. I think that we should not be grouping people into these kind of labels where, you know, Democrats are all weak, they are all somehow satanic. Like there's all this, oh, they all want to become furries. That's probably my favorite thing right now, is I've seen a lot of people online making fun of all liberals for being furries. And you know that's not happening. Like, all of the news about, like, what, kitty litter being put in school bathrooms, that's not happening. None of this is happening. Like, I find it funny, but it's also funny in kind of a concerning way because I really hope no one believes this. In the same way that I really don't think that Republicans are trying to take away every single person's right to anything, you know? But these are all divisive topics that have been brought up where it just feels like the media is trying to distance us from each other. You know, like, I can't relate to them because they all want to be animals, or I can't relate to them because they all want to somehow kill me because they want to eliminate all of my medical rights. You know, I understand that there's a lot of serious issues behind this. Like, I think a lot of conservative Republicans are afraid of, I guess it's public schools, or it's the liberal education system brainwashing their kids into becoming gay or trans, and I understand that, but furries are not part of that. I understand that you've equated furries to trans people, but it's a very different thing. And I feel like lumping them together is doing a disservice to everyone. Also, I don't think kids really want to become an animal. I think there's a lot of kids with very active imaginations, but it doesn't have anything to do with the furry community necessarily. I think that obviously with the internet, there's a lot of different topics that kids are being exposed to early, and I don't think that should be the case. I think a lot of topics should be age restricted, and I don't think that that is logical. And I completely understand all of the parents who are preventing their kids from being on the internet or having a phone. I think I would do the same thing if I had children. But homeschooling a kid because you're afraid that they will become a horse is a little bit silly in my opinion. If you want to homeschool a kid because you want to teach them your religious values, I think that's fine. I do not think that religious values should be taught in schools, however, but that's just my personal opinion. But I think these are like very divisive issues because in states where, I'm thinking about Florida specifically, but there's several other states where people are having debates over whether or not Christianity should be taught in public schools. Obviously, there's a separation of church and state, but I've seen a lot of people saying, you know, liberals want to get rid of religion completely. They hate Christianity, they hate God. They're never going to accept that our faith is understandable and real. And I think that that is unfair. I think that a lot of liberals do not want religion in public schools because not everyone is a Christian. However, on the other side, I also think that to ban certain books from kids, like not having a Bible, I think that would not be good. I think anyone should be able to explore religion however they want to, from whatever age. I just think that being forced to learn a specific religion is not necessarily good for a young child. Obviously, of course, it should be the parents' right to teach their kids a religion, but I don't think it should be enforced. I don't think that Jewish students should be forced to go to a school where they're taught the Bible. That seems very wrong in my opinion. Obviously, studying it as a theological text is different, but these are all things that we can talk about logically and have a debate about and think about conceptually without fighting each other. I really feel like these are all things that can be said without name calling, without death threats, without any fear of retaliation. The United States allows for freedom of speech, which means that any of us should be allowed to say whatever we want to without being suppressed. However, if you say something and someone disagrees with it, they also have the right to say something to you that you might not agree with. And I think this is what we keep forgetting because we are all in a society right now that is continuously more and more and more divisive. We just want to shut down people that we disagree with. We want to get rid of people we disagree with. We want to block people we disagree with. We want to not be friends with people we disagree with. And I just think that it's not helpful, because I want to talk about things. I want to talk about the role that religion plays in a family. I want to talk about the role that religion should play in childhood education. I want to talk about our rights in a way that I don't have to be afraid of people screaming at me. Like, they're allowed to scream at me, that is their right, that is their freedom of speech, but I don't want to be yelled at. I also don't want to be hurt. You know, like, I don't want to say something and then have people from either side tear me down. Like, I feel there is this... I feel like it's really hard for me to speak about things, because if I say a word wrong, if I say a single word, not like something mean, not like calling people names or calling people like really mean words, but I'm talking about like issues. Like, if I say something about an issue that people perceive to be wrong, I'm worried that people will not talk to me. I'm worried that I'm going to lose friends. I don't think that I have super controversial beliefs. Like, I obviously talk about controversial issues and I think about controversial issues, and I enjoy that kind of communication, the debate over issues, but I don't want to lose people that I care about talking about them. And right now, I think because we are so divided, but also like the conservatives are divided. There's like very hardcore Trump supporters, and then there's very like traditional conservatives that just want to live a traditional conservative lifestyle without the craziness that Trump brings with him. And then there's also a lot of moderate Republicans who just kind of want more conservative things, either socially or fiscally. And I don't think that we really recognize that there's like different parts of each party. It's just you're a Democrat or you're a Republican, and you have to choose between those two for the rest of your life, and you have to agree with the entire party, which Democrats don't really do. I feel like Democrats are so split. Like, I don't think there's even, like, there's Bernie supporters, which I think are their own group. There's very far leftists, which are more of the crunchy granola mom, anti-vax, the people who are almost conservative in their beliefs. They're almost homesteading, but they're also liberal, and they're mostly like the hippie types, kind of crystal people are also kind of in that area, but they're more spiritual. I'm all lumping that into one group. There's also moderate Democrats that are more, I guess, the traditional Democrat, the older guard of the Democrats. I think this is mostly older people right now who are the more traditional Democrats. There's obviously like the militant Democrats, the more like Antifa types. And then there's people just in the middle of the party that just kind of want things to be better generally and will do what they can to make things better for people. But they're not necessarily very far left or center. They're just more kind of your average Democrat. I don't know, but I feel like when the media are like, all Republicans are doing this or all Democrats are doing this, it's like, okay, but like which part of the Democratic Party is doing that? Which part of the Republican Party is doing that? Are they mega Republicans? Are they traditional Republicans? Like the raw milk thing. Like, I feel that all of the media I've seen from a liberal standpoint is like, all of these conservatives are going against the government because they all want to drink raw milk, and they're doing it as some sort of act of defiance against the FDA? Like, I don't know, like, and I just feel like there's more to the raw milk thing than just that, but I also think it is a little bit of an act of defiance. But it's like, I don't think that's all Republicans. Like, I don't think every single Republican is now going to start downing a carton of raw milk or a can of raw milk before work every day. Like, but that's how everything has appeared. Like, a lot of the media that I've seen about it has been like, the Republicans are doing this. Just as all Democrats are trying to convert their kids to being furries, apparently. Like, these are not true things, but I feel like I've seen media on both sides that's like, oh, your average Democratic mother versus your average conservative Republican mother. And I'm like, an average Democratic mother is not worried about whether or not their kid is a horse. I'm sorry, I saw this online the other day. It's true. I literally keep seeing memes about this. And it's like, I get it, it's funny. But also, like, all of the memes, all of the funniness is actually doing a lot to separate us more, you know? Like, let's see people as humans. Let's not say that all Christians are crazy people that are trying to convert us to a religious police state. And let's also see on the other side that not all Democrats are trying to brainwash your kids into being an animal. I feel like there's a little bit of nuance here where Republican conservatives might want more religion in schools and Democrats might want more exploration of sexuality. I think those things are true. However, I think that we can find a compromise between them that doesn't involve us name calling and hating each other and blocking and forcing people to make decisions about who they are in a binary way. I think that we can see each other as more than just a Republican or a Democrat, but someone who is our neighbor, who we care about, who is our friend, who we went to school with. I think we can all make judgments about people based on how they are as a human. Are you nice? Are you kind? Do you help people? Do you donate to charity? Do you give people thoughtful gifts? Do you read books to your children? Like these are all things that are human, you know? Like, do you bake bread? Do you cook for your house? Do you cook for your children? Do you love your partner? Like, these are all things that are important, that make us as like human as possible. Like, we are human because of the way that we live, not who we vote for. And I really feel like we're straying into dangerous territory where we won't be able to see each other as human beings. We'll just see each other as a label. And I think that's the news is not helping that. I don't think that social media is helping that. I don't think that memes are helping that. I don't think that a lot of individual creators are helping that. But I am just trying to put some balance in this equation and just say there are things that we can agree on, and there's ways that we live our lives that are very similar, even if some of our beliefs are different. And I do not think that that should make or break a friendship or a relationship. I really think that we can all get along better than we are right now. Okay, that's it. That's all I wanted to say. That's my rant for the week. I hope that everyone has a lovely Thanksgiving. I hope that all of your family dinners go great. Please remember to be respectful of each other, to be kind, to try not to name call. If your family dinners devolve into a political discussion, instead of screaming at the other person, why don't we all try to take a step back and ask them, okay, but why do you believe that? What are you worried about? What are you afraid of? What exact policies are you not agreeing with? And then hopefully have the facts to back up your point and to have a reasonable discussion that doesn't devolve into an argument over a turkey. That is my hope for your holiday dinner. I hope that your Thanksgiving is peaceful. Remember that it is a holiday about giving thanks and not giving hate. Thank you.